Hey everyone, and welcome back to another of my weekly uploads. It's Carl, of course, and I wanted to go over a really cool machine with you guys today. I hope you guys all enjoyed our visit with Jared. Again, a big thank you to him for opening his home and collection up to us so that we could take a look at them. And hopefully, he did invite us back, so hopefully in the near future we'll get a chance to go check out some more cool stuff with him. On another note, I do deeply apologize for the length of time it has taken for me to get my tribute video out to my late friend. Unfortunately, it has been a lot harder for me to make, just compiling everything. It has brought up a lot of really good memories, but hard to get out and kind of process. Has taken me a little bit longer. But anyways, I am still working on that as best as I can. So to those that have contributed, I appreciate it, and I do appreciate your patience. Now we will start by doing some more machines come next week, so be on the lookout for that. I'm going to do a series for the next couple of videos. I figured for April we will do something interesting, being as this is the start of the month of April. We're going to do a set of machines that you guys will find out a little bit more about in the next video. Now, let's get on to a fantastic little machine that I have brought out of my collection room so that we can take a look at it. So let's get down to the video. Okay, so for today I thought I'd bring out one of my absolute favorite canisters in my collection. Not just because of what it is, but because it is green, my favorite color. So, but before we get into that, I did want to kind of relate it to something that I haven't spoken about yet on the channel. Now, I go by the name Constellation Carl on a few different platforms, Facebook, Instagram, a couple other things, and my namesake comes from this little vacuum. This is a Hoover Constellation. I fell in love with these little machines fairly early on in my collecting career. So when it came time for me to kind of make a little bit more vacuum-related presence online, I came up with the name Constellation Carl. Just kind of had a good ring to it. 2K kind of gave it a little bit more significance. So that's why you see my name is Constellation Carl, is because I love these little machines, and that's just kind of where I've gone from here. Now this is a Hoover Constellation. They came out in around the early 50s time frame. They came previous to the convertible era, so they're still in the 60 series for the collectors out there. Now this machine is a Model 87 Constellation. It came out in 1959, and it was introduced along with the 66 convertible, as well as the Hoover floor washer, and then a matching floor polisher. Now this set came in garland green, and as well with some gold accents, as you can see in this ad right here. And as you can see, this machine is a little bit different from your average Constellation. Now, Hoover at this time didn't have any other canisters that had power nozzles or power in handles or anything like that. That was a pretty new technology. Only people like Lewitt were really running that type of a vacuum cleaner, and unfortunately they weren't always the most solid design. So we were still very early into that technology, but Hoover perfected it for this particular little model enough to be able to be sold, and it was a fairly popular little machine. So I'll just take the handle right here. As you can see, we have this little red switch. Now when you bought this machine brand new, this would have been your only method to turn the machine on. This is what they called their under the thumb control. So this would have been how you turn the machine on. Unfortunately, this one has been disconnected over time and use. The hose for this did get a bit worn to a point where Hoover actually replaced the switch mechanism for it to be turned on like a regular Constellation. You can see kind of right there. There's just a regular power switch. But it is an actual Hoover switch. It was converted at some point. But either way, it does still have its original hose. It does not work. It's been disconnected. Actually, when I found it, or when I got it, the connection points for the leads for the hose had actually been cut, but you can still see where they were. But it can still be used as a Constellation, but this was a revolutionary model just because of that. Previous to this, Hoover had actually prototyped with another power nozzle for the earlier Constellations, that being the 82, which looked very similar to the uprights itself. However, from speculation as well as what I have been able to dig up, it looked like that particular model wasn't able to go into production just because when it came to power, these little machines had enough to do a pretty good job on the floor, but they didn't have enough to run a power nozzle as well. Now, the thing about the Constellations in general, what made them very popular was that they were a hovercraft. And I know it was very space age for the time. Of course, this looks like a little satellite as it is. Thinking of such things like the Sputnik and whatnot. But this model, as well as many others, basically the way that they designed it was that the exhaust from the motor would point downwards underneath it. So you would suck through the hose, go down. So debris would be caught up in a bag up in there. So that what would happen is while you were using it, it would follow very closely behind you as on a cushion of air, which was a big selling point for these little machines because it was very, I mean, you would go about your house vacuuming and this would dotingly follow behind you. Now, when you would shut it off, it would immediately just kind of stick to the floor and become a brick. But they were very cool little machines for what they were, and they continued clear into the 70s, and then followed up in about the early 2000s for a kind of a anniversary model. Maytag and Hoover had come together to make a new Constellation. I do have one of those as well. We'll look at that at some point. But this little machine is a pretty fun little thing. It's also different than others because while most Constellations you have to plug the hose into the bottom in order to use the blower, the only way that you could actually turn this machine on without the hose when you first bought it would have just been to make the blower. See, what you would do is there's a little switch. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's this ring right here. It says Constellation. That's like most Constellations. But there's a switch that you would point right here, which would redirect the suction so that you could use the blower function out the hose. So instead of turning this thing upside down, you would just leave it like it is. So very cool little machine right there. But anyways, well, let's get on to a quick run demo. I don't have the rest of the attachments for this machine, unfortunately. I was fortunate enough to get the original hose as well as the canister itself, but we're going to do a quick run demo with it and just see what this little guy can do. Okay, so we got it all plugged in now. As you can see, under the thumb control, not working. So, and actually, I'll even show you right here. You would, of course, open a Constellation from the back end, expose this, and you can see on the inside, there's this ring, which would be your seal for the bag, but you can see there's two connection points right there. In theory, I could hook those back up and potentially use the handle again. So maybe for a later time we might do that in the future. But for now, let's use it for what it is. and see how it performs. So I am going to go ahead and turn it on. As you can see, like I said, there's this little switch right here, red tip. So that's with the hose in. It does perform pretty well. I'm actually kind of surprised every time I use one just for how good their suction is. Now I'm going to show you a little game that I used to play with my brother when I first got my first Constellation, which was an 86, the model previous to this. Being that these are a hovercraft-like little orb that cruises across the carpet, it was always fun to play a game we used to call Kick the Connie. Now, I'm not endorsing anybody to go out like a soccer player and bash these things across the room, but you can easily pass it across the floor, you know, if you have the right floor. Now, we're going to go ahead and turn it on. Now, they don't just fly all over the place, but they do have enough of a cushion of air to move pretty easily. Now, my carpet doesn't function very well to play Kick the Connie, but as you can see, it does glide a lot. Just to prove my little point, as soon as you turn it off, it immediately stops. Which, in that case, what you would do is pick it up and go to the next room. So that's my little Constellation Model 87. All right, everyone, I hope you enjoyed our little vacuum expose of the 87 Constellation and enjoyed it as much as I have and will continue to. Of course, I will be bringing in new machines in my uploads weekly. There will be a couple that are coming up, as I did get a couple requests that are coming up, including one from a local friend of mine, as well as one of my very older machines was requested by a friend from Kentucky. So those will be coming up soon, as well as the very long video that I'm still working on. I haven't forgot about it. Trust me, it's been a process, but it's coming along. So keep looking for those uploads. I try to get them out weekly. Now we will have a really special video coming up as well for a very interesting Kirby. But you guys will just have to keep a lookout for that one. So you guys have a great week this week. I know that I am going to. I have house guests coming next weekend, so that'll be fun and a good chance to show my collection again. But you guys have a safe and healthy week this week. We will see you in the next one. I appreciate you watching again. Have a great day.